Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Welcome to Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We're coming at you on Cinco de Mayo, and even though we've had Biden as our president for about 4 months now, the nation is still somehow on its feet, more or less. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. And in our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. The big topic we wanted to jump into today, and it seems like we've been talking a lot about this the last several years, and especially since Biden came into office, is race again. And, Biden had his state of, I guess it was the State of the Union or something like that. I don't know, whatever. It was his big address. And
it was something, it was a joint session of Congress, which probably could be called the State of the Union. It probably was, yes.
Okay. And so the answer for the Republican side came as a speech from Tim Scott. And Tim Scott is an African-American senator on the Republican side. And the crazy thing, though, about it was, he tried to bring out, one of the things he tried to bring out about it is America is not a racist country, because one of the themes of Biden's speech is how we are systemically racist. He can't help but, it's funny for a guy who thought Barack Obama was so unusual because he was so clean and well-spoken.
Yes, clean and articulate.
There you go. He really likes to spread that blame for racism around everybody else. But anyway, Tim Scott tried to answer, hey, you know what? This is a land of opportunity, and I come from a family that had a lot of opportunity in this country, and that's how I am where I am today. And so the lefties couldn't help themselves but to start labeling him as Uncle Tim. And so these are the people who are telling us that all about anti-racism. And because Tim Scott is black and he doesn't have the same opinion as them, suddenly he's an Uncle Tim. Hey, Leon, you want to jump in a little farther on that story?
Well, let me make some news here, okay? So from the voice of an immigrant and from the voice of a black man, America is not a racist country. Oh, my God. The left is now going to have a meltdown. Please, God, help them. Please help them. About this thing on a serious note, though. This is nothing but the arrogance and racism of the left, because they know what thoughts we should have in our heads. They know what words we should speak. And of course, they know who we should vote for. So here we have Tim Scott, like me, a black man, not an immigrant, but a black man. He is a Republican. Well, that is his first sin to start with. He's voting for the wrong party. And then worst of all, he gets on national TV and says, you know what? America is not a racist country. And oh my God, the left had a meltdown because a black man said America is not a racist country. You see, what we have in America is that we have a bunch of racists. We do. But most of them is on the left. And they're trying to save us. They're trying to save us. You know what they're really doing? They're living the dream. They're living the dream. Not Martin Luther King's dream, I'm talking about the dream of George Wallace. Segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. They want us to be segregated, our thoughts to be segregated, our homes to be segregated, our schools to be segregated. That's why the inner cities of America could look like the way they do. They don't care about that. But they care about the fact that Tim Scott is a Republican, a black man and a Republican. That's what they care about. That is the disease they have just found in America today. God help us with these people, really. But the interesting thing about this, though, the next day, Kamala and Joe Biden was asked about this very issue. And both of them said, oh, no, America is not a racist country. They said that. So where's the outrage about that now? Where's the outrage? Tim Scott said it, and that is a big problem. Twitter allow all the racial slurs and insults against Tim Scott to continue to trend for 12 hours. They didn't care about that one. No, they didn't care.
Well, Leon, that was the way they were trying to prove their point that America was a racist country, is they all started throwing out racial slurs. The left wanted to tell us all how racist they were so that we were sure this was a racist country.
Oh, I see. They made it into the racist country that they always tell us about. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
They had to prove their point.
Well, they were successful.
Jason can't stop.
Sorry, I had to jump in there. I couldn't help myself, and I started listening to Leon talk, and I thought, gosh, those guys are racist. I thought, hey, they proved it. They were right.
Well, so much for being a straight man, laughing at your own jokes there, Jason.
That's true. But to finish up, this thought here. So Kamala said, when she said, no, America is not racist, she said, but we should always speak the truth about the history of racism in America. Okay, I'm fine with that. Let's have the conversation, okay? So truth number one is that the Democratic Party have been the prime driver of racism in America in its history. Look at Jim Crow, look at slavery, and look at what's going on in the cities today. That's the work of the Democratic Party. So if you want to have the conversation, I am glad to. Let's do it.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah. Yes.
Tim, did you want to dive in on that one too a little bit?
I don't know.
Or has the word been put down?
Yeah, the word has been put down. All I have to say is, to some people, I really am Uncle Tim. And it's better than being a peeping Tim.
Indeed.
That's all I have to say. Nothing more to add now. After all, Leon has had the last word.
Okay. That is one thing too on this topic when you talked about Kamala saying that we should, not forget these things, and it's absolutely true that we shouldn't forget. But one of the things that it kind of I think it's why we're in some of the trouble we're in is because it's not that we need to forget, but we also need to see more than just that. It's sort of like they have this tunnel vision where the only thing they can see is the bad things, the racism, whatever the issues were, and it's I don't know. I mean, this country is so much more than that, and I think that's why so many people have wanted to come here for such a long time. I don't think all those immigrants came from boats from all over the world, came on long journeys across deserts, all because they're trying to get to the most racist place in the world. I don't think they're all coming here with their white sheets, ready to burn a cross or something else. I mean, they're coming here for something better. And the fact that the Democrats can't seem to see that all they can see is the negative things that, quite frankly, every society and every group has had, negative things in their past. So I think there's an issue with some perspective that's just sort of askew with the left.
Well, I don't really think they believe it. I think the whole point of it, this is nothing earth-shattering, is to gain votes. America is a racist country, and we're here to make it less racist. So vote for us, especially if you have dark-colored skin, because we're going to fix everything for you, because we're on your side. And that's I think what their reasoning is behind it. It's just as others have pointed out, it's just a ploy to gain power over, political power. Simply as that.
But Jason, you touched on an important here about the opportunities that are available to all in America. Racism is not the major impediment to the progress of Black people in America. Not in present-day America. Not in 2021. In 1921, yes, but not in 2021. Okay. What about the public schools? Look at the public schools. In the inner cities of America, we have the worst you could imagine in America for Black and brown kids. But you know what the Democrats are doing about it? Do you know what they're doing about it? They are folding their hands like this, and they're just watching it.
Yeah.
Because the teachers' unions are their friends, and the teachers' unions don't care about your kids. Well, Jason, I know you have children in public school, so I feel your pain on this. They don't care about that. That is one of the biggest impediments to Black and brown kids getting out of the cycle of poverty that has engulfed many parts, many communities in America, many Black and brown communities in America. That tool, education. And they're trying to mess that up too. They're trying everything they can to mess that up. Look at this discussion we had about mathematics and trying to find this equitable mathematics.
Yeah.
This is a madness that's going on.
Yeah.
That everything is racist. But racism is not, let me make news again, is not the major impediment, is not, I would say, not even the top 5 of impediments to the progress of Black people in this land. It is not.
Yeah, the one topic, if anything, that should be the most objective, the most free of bias is mathematics by its very nature. And the fact that they are literally on a search to try and say, how do we get rid of white supremacy in mathematics is just absolutely beyond the pale. I mean, these critical race theorists are just, it's cancer. I mean, that's literally what it is. Mathematics is the biggest ladder of opportunity for any kid who's coming up, is a background in mathematics. If they can learn this, that is a stepping stone to so many good careers. And the idea that they're on a search for white supremacy is just, beyond the pale. And they're doing a disservice to all of these people they're claiming they're helping. And it's just, it's really disgusting, And
that is, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead. Tim, I'm sorry.
I was going to say one of their great ideas is to stop this hierarchy, this top-down teacher to student teaching thing, and so they're going to. It's too close to master and slave. So what you should do is put the students in charge of teaching. And so the teacher can become the student, and the brilliant students that don't know anything about math are going to teach math. And so that's their wonderful idea right there. That'll be equitable, right? It won't be coming from on high. The power, the authority figure of the teacher will be mitigated, and the students can teach themselves. And hey, if there's no right or wrong answer, what's wrong with that? There's nothing lost, right? If there's no right or wrong answer, if 1 + 1 can be 2 for some people, and
it could be anything.
It could be anything. Sure, exactly. Yeah. So there you go. That's their brilliant. That's essentially some of their ideas right there in a nutshell.
But the thing is, we all know
they do it with a straight face. Honestly,
exactly. We all know mathematics as this universal language. We know it is a universal language. There's no doubt about that. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting thing. They're telling us now they have come up with this brand new idea. Their wonderful research have now shown us that really and truly searching for the correct answer, that's really white supremacy. Okay, that's really white supremacy. Well, that's a very interesting thing, because I'm sure these idiots, if their employer said, well, we don't have to search for the right salary. We don't have to get the right answer. Maybe we could just pay you half of what we thought about at first, because we don't have to really search for the right answer. I am sure these idiots are going to take them to court. I'm sure they will.
And when you tell them half, you actually make it 1/4. And then when they argue, you told us that we'd still get half of our salary, but look, we only get a quarter. You can say, no, wait, no, that's the way I figured it, and everything's correct, right? Because you have no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
So it's only really that much, whatever it is, we're giving you. That's what you'll have to live with, and because you have decided that mathematics is unequitable. So here you go.
For politicians, this is the type of math they've been using on our budgets anyway for the past, half a century or so. But
only instead of one quarter, it always seems to be about a couple trillion more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A few zeros or less, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about mathematics, though, is if we were to encounter an alien species somewhere else in the universe, what would be the same? The symbols may be a little different, but they would be communicating essentially with the same mathematics. I mean, mathematics is not going to change on this side of the universe to another side of the universe. And I mean, what are we going to call those aliens? White supremacists when they show up?
I don't know.
Those tentacles, floating beings that,
Steven Spielberg may have a bone to pick about that, because he thought it would be in tones and semitones and octaves and all those musical values that we would be communicating with the aliens with, if you recall. From
even music has a background and I mean there's a mathematical relationship within the scales, and that's the point of mathematics. It literally is a language for decoding nature.
Okay,
I mean,
you got me.
Literally,
you got me there.
Yeah, and there must be some mechanism, even if the aliens speak in some language we don't understand, which they probably will be speaking. There must be some mechanism by which we could communicate with them. Some mechanism where we could understand their world and they could understand ours. And that will have to be some version of mathematics. It will have to be.
Yeah. Well, in 30 years, when nobody knows math and the aliens finally do come to try to communicate with us, they'll have to just give up and go home.
These people are nuts.
They'll be saying these people might be woke, but they are a joke.
That's not likely.
They are woke, they are a joke, and they are broke. So we should go home.
Yes, all three. Exactly.
Yeah, they'll find some of those satellites we sent out with, the plaque and the messages, and they'll say, damn, these people, how could they have built this? I mean,
Definitely.
It seems like the only way you could regress and go into some kind of crazy thinking like this on something like mathematics is echo chambers. That's really the only way you could slip back into that. And one of the things that's dangerous about echo chambers is it allows you to see the world in a way that's not true, I guess. And a lot of that means, fake news and other things. Well, there was just a story, and certainly we've had a ton of fake news from the left recently. I mean, seems to be never ending, especially when everything is tied to race. It doesn't matter what it is. But recently there was a scandal at the New York Post, which is one of those publications that is more focused towards conservatives. And they kind of took a story out of whole cloth to attack Kamala Harris about her having books written for children and having the government sort of pay for those to be handed out to the kids at the border who were coming in. And it turned out it was a completely fake story. And I guess, some people had some egg on their faces. The reporter had said that, the paper sort of forced her. And I think that hopefully this is a wake-up call to conservatives, because part of the reason that the left has gotten so crazy is because of their echo chambers. And I mean, we hopefully we will hold our sources, whatever they be, up to a high standard so that we're not getting a bunch of fake news. But I just thought this was a kind of an alarm bell, hearing about this story about the New York Post. Tim, did you want to jump in on this one? Fake news and echo chambers?
And they told us Alex Jones was full of malarkey.
I forgot you're an homosexual, so you definitely would have been listening to a little bit of Alex Jones.
No, actually, time out. No, I have to defend my honor a little bit. While I'm not completely a stranger to Alex Jones, in the sense that when you drive by an accident and the car is on the side of the road, embedded in a big tree, and its engine is smoking and steam is coming out of the radiator, you're gonna look. Right? So
steam coming out of the radiator is a very good description of Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, yeah. And you got to admire the guy's acting ability when it comes to getting all excited and crazy about stuff. But aside from that, I never have put very much credence into Mr. Jones. Now, would I try to cancel him? No, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't watch him, which is kind of what happened. So I would expect, truthfully, that this other mainstream media outlet, that whether they're conservative or liberal, and this was the New York Post, right?
New York Post, yes.
Yeah, New York Post, yeah. I mean, that's pretty mainstream, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree? Okay.
Yes.
So, for people to continue to watch these things, and I'm not saying that they're all, 100% full of malarkey. I'm just saying that, you got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt today. Nobody is quite apparently, nobody's above, especially in the mainstream media. From what I've seen, I have certain people that I trust. Okay, I'll admit, and they earned that trust though. And Alex Jones was never one of them, and the New York Post is never going to be one of them either, because they have earned their. They should be lumped into CNN, making complete fabrications up, and then also media outlets that fall for whatever flavor of the month of baloney coming out of the State Department, and when I say that, I'm referring to this nonsense about Trump being in collusion with the Russians and all that kind of stuff. And then, you can throw in liberal kind of stuff too, if you wish, but so don't stop watching them. I mean, they're full of it. So just stop, just find somebody else. Excuse me, that cough is Corona going around there, Jason.
Oh, geez. I got my vaccine, Tim, and I will get the other one next Wednesday. So, maybe you should get yours.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking it for the team, Leon. Appreciate it.
There you go. The angle of this story that I want to touch on just a little bit about this story, Jason. What really amazed me? We had this Russia collusion story about Donald Trump and his campaign starting in 2016, and it continued throughout his presidency.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that there was all kind of evidence out there, the media never said, this was false. Yeah. They never said that. The story went on and on. It even went up into the courts that there was something going on between Trump and the Russians. On and on it went. But here we are. This story came out about Kamala. It turned out to be false, okay, but it came out about Kamala. And look how quick they were to debunk it. Look how quick. Oh, my goodness gracious. How could we be saying that about poor Kamala? Oh, this is so horrible. Oh, my God, please. Don't ever say that again about her, please. Man, this is so ridiculous.
Are you saying there's some partisanship going on in the background?
Of course, Tim. I would never say a thing like that. No.
Well, on that note, it's time for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, and this time it's actually something. A lot of times we wind up hitting the left on these because, quite frankly, there's just been so much crazy stuff in the last year or so. But this time it's actually a conservative that we're going to hit on the Knucklehead Noise Patrol, and after the Derek Chauvin trial, for the murder of George Floyd. Greg Gutfeld, who is a Fox host and commentator, he came on and he said during one of his shows, says, "I'm glad Chauvin was found guilty on all charges, even if he might not be guilty of all the charges. I am glad that he is guilty on all charges, because I want a verdict that keeps this country from going up in flames. And I just thought, wow, what a horrific, from a libertarian perspective, it's justice is an individual, endeavor.
Exactly.
I mean, people have to be weighed as individuals, and if we're going to start putting people in it with groups and condemning groups and trying somebody as part of a group, this is, kind of scary territory. And to hear somebody, on the Fox side, and on the conservative side say something that ugly is pretty terrible. And quite frankly, I think, personally, I think a lot of what happened in that, Chauvin trial was a terrible politics. It wasn't very much justice going on. And I really felt like, especially with all we've been seeing, politicians coming out and demanding his head and literally giving awards to the family during the trial. This is, terrible. This wasn't justice. Chauvin was essentially a sacrificial lamb, very much on what Greg Gutfeld was saying, that a lot of people were just happy to let this go, let this get buried, and let's just move on and get by this. And that's not what justice is all about. You guys want to jump in? Leon, I think you were going to jump in on this one first.
Well, it to me, it was quite surprising to hear Greg Gutfeld say this thing, okay? Now, he's not really a conservative, Jason, to be honest, or correction. He calls himself a libertarian. But for this kind of thing of having a sacrificial lamb for the collective, I mean, oh my God, this is beyond the pale. I mean, this is not a religion where somebody gonna die on the cross for us and they're gonna save us in the next life or something like that. We deal with individual rights, individual responsibilities, and individual justice. If Derek Chauvin did something wrong, and it looked like he did, if he did something wrong, then he should pay the price. We not should be glad because, well, he will pay the price so he could save the rest of us like Jesus Christ did, supposedly, for all of us. No. I was really surprised about this statement from Greg. But my God, it is something horrific to be said, especially on national TV.
He doesn't sound like much of a libertarian to me. So, I mean, if he truly meant that, then Greg, how do you address this? Police officers have said that that this is a common theme that they're talking about to themselves. That who wants now to have to arrest a black guy who's breaking the law? Who wants to arrest that? If you're a police officer, you're going to be all, you're just going to be blown up, or you're going to be in a big time hurry to confront the next black criminal? The answer is no, they're not. They don't want to, and statistically, this has affected the black community, and so you can expect the continuation of an increase in the murder rate and so on, because the black community is going to be impacted. So this, you get one thing, but you got to expect to have the other thing on the other side. It's a double-edged sword.
Well, much as this show or much as this trial really didn't answer these questions about racism, our show is probably not going to get to the answer of that today either. But hopefully you'll join us for the next one. And until the next one, stay free.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right.
At least try.